Night falls over Tokyo Bay, neon reflections stuttering on water as shipping cranes stand as silent sentinels. In Shanghai, the streets glow with LED signs, but behind that glow lies a tension in factories and markets alike. Across Asia, the hum of engines and servers whispers of ambition trembling on the edge of uncertainty. Markets in Seoul, Singapore, Mumbai, and Hong Kong open to ripples of volatility, each tick in the indices echoing uncertainty.
Asian exchanges rose on hopes of renewed export demand, then recoiled as geopolitical signals flickered.
Investors question whether growth can survive global headwinds: debt, supply chains, vaccine rollout, climate stress. The region's capital flows swirl, funds depart where policy feels shaky, enter where stability is whispered. At the center lies the gamble. Can Asia balance risk and growth? Exports remain the engine, but the engine sputters in parts. Factories in Shenzhen and Chengdu produce semiconductors, electronics, and solar panels, yet input costs climb, shipping delays bite, tariffs loom. Ports in Singapore, Busan, and Ho Chi Minh City bustle, cranes moving containers under humid heat, but downstream contracts are paused. The rhythm of orders once steady now stutters. Asia's trade corridors feel both vital and fragile. Energy shifts haunt the grid. Coal plants in India strain under rising demand. Renewables flicker in monsoon clouds. Batteries sag where infrastructure is weak. In Indonesia, thermal plants sputter in rainy pauses. Gas networks groan with pressure. Meanwhile, Japan's hydrogen projects glow with ambition, but spatial constraints choke rollout. The slide between energy abundance and scarcity plays out in brownouts, in surging prices, in factories dimming their lines. Energy is both opportunity and Achilles' heel. Innovation etches ripples into every industry. In Bangalore, AI labs crunch data, inventing models to optimize agriculture, health, logistics. In Seoul, quantum computing teams reboot ambition nightly. In Vietnam, startups link supply chains to fintech platforms. The region bets heavily: 5G, edge computing, biotech. But the risk is steep. If capital retreats or regulation chokes, innovation may become a casualty rather than a catalyst. The threshold is narrow, the stakes enormous. Trade corridors twist like arteries. The Belt and Road Network pulses with railway, port, pipeline projects spanning Southeast Asia to Central Asia. Cross-border digital corridors stretch data cables, connecting remote towns to global clouds. Asia's trade weaves north to Russia, south to Australia, east to US demand. Yet friction intensifies. Customs delays, policy shifts, cartel controls, currency volatility. The question lies in harmony. Can these arteries remain open? Across the Pacific, Asia's markets send vibrations into American portfolios. A sharp export downturn in China or India ripples into US earnings, supply chain forecasts, consumer devices. Washington monitors Asian industrial output closely, calibrating trade policy in response. US firms reliant on Asian components shift logistics, hedge investments, realign strategies. Asia and America are woven a tremor. There is felt here. Meanwhile, in Europe, the push for reshoring triggers headaches for Asian exporters. Factories awake to the possibility of demand diverted to nearer shores. European regulators press for supply chain diversity. Auto and machine parts orders may shift. Asia's competitive edge may shrink if policies tilt westward. At the same time, European investment funds, chasing yield, push capital into promising Asian tech hubs, feeding a dual pressure of competition and collaboration. Back in Africa and Latin America, Asian firms invest in minerals, infrastructure, agriculture. Chinese, Indian, Korean capital flows build ports, solar farms, rail links. Where Europe and America hesitate, Asia steps in. The consequence: alignment and dependence, with economic strings attaching to projects abroad. Asia's growth may shape others' futures. In the global commodities market, Asia's demand pumps prices upward. Coal, LNG, rare earths, copper all move under Asian thirst. A slowdown or energy crisis in Asia distorts global supply and demand. Mines in Peru, Australia, Africa respond. Ships carrying ore divert to Asian ports. Stockpiles in New Zealand or South Africa shift course. Digital trade and tech ecosystems bind continents. Asian data centers host clients in Europe. Cloud services link companies across oceans. AI models trained in Bangalore or Seoul power diagnostics and financial tools abroad. When Asia moves, algorithms, platforms, and services ripple globally. The world's economy listens to Asia's heartbeat. In the smoke-thick air of Delhi, Aisha steps from her small clinic into haze and heat. She treats patients by day, dreams of deploying telemedicine apps by night. Medicine costs rise, electricity flickers. Her smartphone's AI diagnostic tool lags on weak servers, and she wonders if patients in rural districts will lose access. She tastes dust, hears distant horns, senses the fragility around her. In a factory in Shenzhen, Wei adjusts machinery under buzzing lights. He monitors assembly lines of flexible displays, hears pneumatic hisses, feels the vibration in his palms. Some orders were pulled last night. He worries whether his shift will shrink, whether his skill will be replaced by automation. He glances out the factory window at smog drifting over the city skyline and inhales uncertainty. In Mumbai's financial district, Priya, a fintech founder, sips strong coffee in her glass office. Across monitors, she watches user metrics, funding signals, regulatory whispers. She must pitch foreign investors who may desert Asia in a shock. She feels the clink of cups, the low hum of servers behind her, the pressure in her ribs. Her team watches her face. She cannot be trade out. In Hanoi's garment hub, Tran sews seams under a naked bulb in a small workshop. He leans close, senses thread tension, smells fabric, hears machines cough. His work feeds families in rural provinces. But input fabrics cost more, orders shrink overseas. He fears the next container may not come. He dreams of sending his son to university, but wonders whether trade will allow it. In Tokyo's robotics lab, Hiroshi tunes a mechanical limb in silence. The servo motors whir, the polished joints gleam under clean light. He tests balance algorithms, breathes deeply, tastes the metal scent. He dreams of deploying these in care homes across Asia, but funding bodies are cautious, demands sharp. He wonders if tomorrow's promise will match today's effort. In Jakarta's port district, Sari hauls containers across cranes at dawn. Rain drips from her helmet, steel cables hum overhead, diesel engines roar. She moves through mist, her boots echo on girders. She worries about layoffs if export ships stall. Her daughters wait in Sumatra for school fees, every rupiah matters. In Manila, Carlos and his wife run a small rice mill. At dusk he steps into humid air, fans turning slowly. He hears the distant rumble of cargo ships, sees lights on the sea. Trade policies on tariffs might affect his foreign customers. He tastes humidity on his lips and carries concern for the next season's yield. Tomorrow may dawn in neon hues over Bangkok, Seoul, Mumbai, Manila. If export demand revives, factories will hum anew, orders return, ports flicker with containers. If energy supply stabilizes, grids hold, billing calms. But the path is thin, flanked by debt, climate risk, geopolitical friction. Policy and cooperation matter. Trade agreements, digital frameworks, infrastructure corridors, cross-border grids. If Asian states align, the region can leverage scale, diversify supply, share risk. If fragmentation deepens, smaller nations may fracture under pressure. Human perseverance will persist. The engineer, the farmer, the coder, the port worker, they will adapt, retrain, invest in resilience. Innovation may spring from constraint, necessity forging creativity. Behind neon lights, under monsoon skies, lives will push forward. Asia is not passive in the storm. It breathes ambition, it pulses with tension and hope. The markets pulse, the factories breathe, people press on, and somewhere between the market's pulse and the human heartbeat, tomorrow quietly begins.